Hello everybody, my name is Bernhard Seifert. I'm very happy to be here today. You know, we are always sharing great, amazing stories. We're always learning, we're full of energy, and I think that's important to get to know different thoughts on what life is about, why we are in the place where we are, and what does it take to make a change, because sometimes we're in a moment of change and probably a word, a phrase make us thinking about, you know what, he said something about a certain subject, he said something or she said something about this or that, and probably that goes and fits exactly into our life, and that thought keeps you thinking, and then you say, okay, I gotta do a change. So I'm gonna introduce you our good friend Anno, which he is a photographer, he is a creative, he's so many things, you know, he's full of life, and he's gonna explain us exactly what he does, the way he talks, his energy, his focus on life. Besides he's gone through like certain barriers in his life, he's here and he puts like a nice face to the world, to life, to the people around him. And I think that's very important. So let's learn about Anno, you know. Anyways, I'm learning his name, Anno. I don't forget anymore. Very nice meeting you, Anno.
It's great to meet you.
So I love your energy. So
Thank you.
Tell us about you know, your life. You were talking about experiences, you know, emotional experiences, life experiences when we were sitting over there, and it was amazing. You know, your story is amazing. So
thank you. I'll try and keep it as condensed as possible. But like most people, my life has been a journey of light and darkness. It would be fair to say that a large part of my life, especially the early part of my life, was incredibly traumatic. My mother abandoned me and my two sisters at the age of 3. I've not had any contact with her since, so I have to deal with the abandonment of that issue. And then I was a victim of sexual abuse for most of my childhood. And then later in life, I've had to deal with addiction. So I realise now that the 3 challenges that I chose when I came into this physical body were abandonment, abuse, and addiction. So they're the 3 very serious subjects that in this life I've had to deal with, and I've only just recently managed to really deal with the trauma that those things have put into me. And at the moment that I accomplished that goal, I began my transformation into the person that I am.
I can't imagine how hard it was when you were 3. You were studying, living your life, and the model of having a mom, or the model of having sisters, and I guess that transformed you through your life when you grow up, and it's not easy when you're 3 to lose your mom and your family. And what was the motive of keep going in your life and look after the tunnel?
I was very fortunate that I was adopted by my stepdad's parents. So my step-grandparents adopted me or fostered me from the age of 3. And even though bad things happened during my time with them, it wasn't their fault. They weren't responsible for the things that I went through, but their overriding feeling and mission in my life was to make me into a beautiful person. My nan wanted me to be the best man I could be. So she gave me a lot of love, and she guided me into becoming what most people refer to as a gentleman. I've always had a great deal of respect for women, and I've always had an ability to treat any negative event I've gone through and focus on the positive that must come from that.
But how do you? For me, it's really hard to understand, because
for lots of people,
I didn't live the type of life you have, and that you had in the past. How do you find help? Like, where do I look to? You know,
I think that already comes with you. Like, I think when I arrived in this life, I already had certain strengths and qualities that were preparing me for what I was going to go through. And one of those things was a natural ability to not focus on the negative in anything. So everything I've been through, I very quickly focus on the positive that must be coming from it, and not deal or dwell on the experience itself, because that's only going to pull you down, and it's going to take you down a different path, which is likely to be very more damaging to you. So once I've been through a negative event, I focus on, right, that's happened, there's a reason why it's happened, let me work out what that reason is. I mean, when your mum leaves at 3, I don't have any memory of my mother. I don't remember her face, I don't remember her being in my life, or nothing. So her leaving actually wasn't traumatic as such, because I didn't remember her in my life. So the trauma came later when I learned that my mother had left. There was a few meetings that we'd arranged with the council to have a meeting, and she never showed up. So that's where the trauma came from. The trauma came from her refusal to attend a meeting, and then on my 5th birthday, that was the last meeting that was arranged for her to attend, and she didn't attend on that occasion either. So that was more traumatic than the actual event of her leaving. So then I'm being raised in an environment which is different to most people. I'm being raised by my grandparents, and most people have a mum and dad, and I didn't. And then I found out actually when I was 15 that my grandparents weren't my grandparents. They were my stepdad's parents.
Wow.
So that brought another layer of trauma. It turned out that all my family...
What age did you have when you noticed that?
What teacher or what age?
How old you were?
I was 15. Because I was fostered, I was under the care of the local authority legally. And they had to tell me before I was 16 the truth about my life. So they had to tell me that my dad actually was
at that age?
Yeah, at 15. So I was in the middle of my exams at school. So that brought its own challenges, and I rebelled against my family, and I started to do vandalism, and I started to steal things from shops, and I became a complete teenage rebel. And I felt I had a right to do that, because I felt that my whole life had been a lie. So I dealt with it in my own way. I rebelled against authority, and I had a big issue with authority through most of my life, because I viewed them as negative, controlling influences. And even though my grandparents had given me a lot of love, they had ultimately raised me in an environment of deceit for most of my life, and I really struggled with that, and that really hurt.
What do you get from all these past experiences that you were talking about, and when was the big breakthrough in your life that you decided to make a change and focusing more inside of you more than the outside? Because that's what I feel from you. You know?
Yeah,
because you're a very internal person. You know, everything is from the inside, and that's how I feel you.
Yeah, I've kept most of my trauma within me, and that's had its own challenges, because I've never really had any treatment or any counselling about any of the things I've been through, and I've kind of dealt with it myself, and that's been very difficult. But one of the benefits of doing that is I'm sitting here with you now, because if I'd have had any other avenue to express my emotion, my life would have gone down a different path, and I would have become a different person. So I've had a very strong ability to deal with the trauma in my life. Whether it was right or wrong doesn't really matter. The fact is, it's all been dealt with now, and the reward, if you like, of me dealing with that is I've now been given certain gifts where I can help other people deal with their trauma and raise their vibration, whether it's been through my creative processes of writing music.
I think that's exactly where it took you, you know, to get the best from you on a certain side of yourself, and you say, you know, I'm creative, I gotta use this to my benefit, and then probably it's like like an escape on things that we're living.
Yeah. When I was back in 2009, when I came through my very, very dark depression, the morning I woke up on that day, which is the 1st of July 2009, I had a song in my head, and within 24 hours I'd learned how to use software to make music. I'd written the lyrics, and I'd recorded a version of the song with me singing. Now, I've never written a song before, I've never produced a song before, and I've never sung before. But the way I see it is because I had dealt with the demons in my mind during my depression, there was a lot of space in my consciousness where creativity could now flow again. I'd been subduing it and blocking it, and I'm naturally a very creative person. I always have been since I was born. I've always been very good at drawing and making things, but I've never studied it. I didn't do art at school, but I consider myself a beautiful drawer. I've never studied photography, but I take beautiful photos. And I've never studied songwriting, but I write beautiful music. So these are all things that
It's part of your talent.
It's part of me, it's part of my very being.
Yeah, it's of
and
course.
the fact that I've dealt with the trauma in my life has enabled my creative side to flow. I'm a water sign, I'm a triple water sign, so I'm all about flowing. And all of the things that I do, whether it's writing music or taking photos or dancing or performing sacred medicine ceremonies, all of those things are about flowing. It's about taking one person's journey or taking my journey and allowing it to flow into other people. And I know that's my purpose in life now. But the real transformation came here in Tulum when I arrived 1 year ago.
A year ago?
Yeah, I've only been in Tulum a year. The plan was to fly.
Why? Can you explain us what happened?
Yeah, I went through a breakup with my girlfriend in Mallorca in Europe. Very amicable breakup, but I decided it was the right time for me to travel. I had a sense of what was coming with the whole COVID thing in Europe, and I wanted to be elsewhere. Mexico was still open, so I came to Mexico on my way to Peru to do a ceremony in the jungle with ayahuasca, which I was being called to do.
And what type of ceremony?
Ayahuasca.
Okay, can you explain me about it?
Only what I know, which is it's a very sacred ancient medicine which has been partaken in by tribes mainly in South America. Peru is one of the strong countries where it started, and it's a healing. It's used to heal. It's a journey that you go on, and it's predominantly used to heal. So I felt I was coming here to heal the remainder of the traumas that I had in my life, so I could focus on my journey. But fate kept me in Mexico, and I did my first personal bufo ceremony while I was in Mexico, exactly 1 year ago. And I immediately knew that it was something I had to work with as well, similar to your previous guest. And I've been working with it ever since. So it's just been part of my arsenal, if you like, to try and help other people.
And how to use your spirituality into your life? How do you transform your surrounding? How do you, after you everything that, all the different experiences that you had and the breakthrough, how do you feel now? That's one question. The second question is, what does the body means to you in terms of emotional experience as well?
Yeah, that's a difficult. I mean, I feel utterly amazing at the moment now, at this exact point in my life. The transformation that I've gone through, especially the last couple of months, has been quite profound. That's a different story altogether. But at the moment, I feel completely on top of the world. It's difficult to really say much more than that. I found my purpose in life, and when you accomplish that, when you get to that place in your life, when you know utterly why you're here, the absolute joy that fills you with is so immense. It's really impossible to put into words. It's like a buffet.
Before the interview, you were talking about you had let's say like an accident that probably changed part of your life. In the moments that we think we're going to die, it comes a big transformation.
Yes.
So what happened there? What was going on into your mind, and how that moment made you stronger?
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail about the event itself. This isn't the time for that. But what I can share with you is the battle that happened during that event was always going to happen. It was part of my journey that I had to go through in order to become who I've become. It was life-threatening. It could have very easily ended up with taking my life, but it didn't. I was victorious in the battle that took place, and it's made me much stronger as a result. And I'm very grateful that I'm able to sit here with you, because there's a very strong possibility that I wouldn't be here at all.
I really love your personality. I really love your energy. I just met you, and the feeling, the sensations, the energy that is right here in between. He shares so much joy, even though sometimes in our life we don't have so much joy inside. But we do our best to show our best face, and nobody knows what other people has lived in their past, so we don't have to judge other people. We just have to understand people, so we could probably, I'm not saying help them, I'm saying be better human beings. If you find a way or to share experiences or help a person, that stays in your soul for your entire life. So for me, it's been transformational as well, to get to know people like you, to get to know stories like you, because I'm constantly learning. And
we're all learning, but I mean, one of the things that I like to share is when you're on an aeroplane and they go through the safety briefing, they tell you if the masks fall down, you put your own mask on before you help others. And it's exactly the same with people like me. We have to work on ourselves to get ourselves to be in a position where we are able to help other people from a much stronger place of love. Because unless you love yourself fully,
of course,
you're not able to fully give your attention and your love to other people. So
what would you tell a person that is in a crisis right now, that is watching us? Your experience made them think about anything. What is your advice? What you can share?
If anyone is in a crisis at the moment, and there's many people, especially in the world that we're living in now, who are going through a crisis, the only thing I can say that comes from my heart is just to think of love. You know, we're all made up of pure love. It's just that most of us have forgotten that because we're distracted and we're diluted and we're poisoned by the environment that we live in. But ultimately we are beings of pure love. And if you just close your eyes and think of the word love and think of love coming into you, whatever the crisis is, even if just for a short moment, will disappear. And you will call out for help. If you call out for help, somebody will hear you and they will come. In whatever form they come, whether they come as a song on the radio or whether they come as a person that you meet that day, if you put out the call that you require help in the situation you are in, help will come. There are enough beautiful beings on the planet, and one of them will come to you when you need them. You just have to reach out. And whether it's me or whether it's my music or whether it's any of your other guests, somebody will come to your aid. Just don't dwell and focus on the crisis, because you're just going to keep the pain of that crisis with you. The law of attraction, you know, if you think of love, love will come. You'll turn your situation into love.
I love that, because you're very transparent in your experience, you know.
I have nothing to hide. You know, everything I've been through has made me who I am, and anyone who's gone through trauma or been abused as a child or been abandoned.
Yeah, but sometimes people find help in a psychologist, you know, which you didn't have the opportunity to have it. You did it yourself, and it's different, you know, or a coach. But if there's like a condition, then you need a psychologist, you know. But
we're told that. I mean, most psychologists would not have been abandoned, abused, or be addicts. So just because they've learned the psychology of the human mind to the way that they've been taught by their professors or whatever, doesn't mean that they're coming at it from a better place than me. I'm the only person who knows my life, so surely I'm the best person to deal with the things that I've been through, because I know exactly what those things are. And unless someone's been in my shoes, my feeling was that they don't really have anything, you know, whether it's right or wrong, I felt I didn't need the advice of somebody else to deal with my things. I would much rather have spoken to a friend, and that's what they did. My friends or my girlfriends all knew about my life, and they came at it from a place of love. For some people, going to a psychologist works, and that's beautiful. It just wasn't the path I wanted to follow. I've always trusted my intuition. I've always, not always, but on the large part, I followed my intuition, and if I don't think something is right for me, I don't do it. And most of the time it's served me well. Sometimes ignoring my intuition has cost me.
So follow your intuition.
Every time your intuition is there to guide you, and ignore it at your peril. That's one of the biggest rules, or one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give. If you have a feeling in your heart or your gut or your mind that you should do something, do it, because it's a message you're receiving from someone who really cares about you, and is trying to guide you down the best path possible.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I just love to listen to you. And let me tell you that I admire you. I admire your life, and I admire your honesty. about who you are, because we don't have to hide who we are at the end of life. This is our own experience, and we only have one life to live here
in this life.
In this life, there could be others, but I'm just impressed about your experience. I'm impressed about how you went through a lot, and at the end, you're here with a beautiful smile. Well, and looking to the future, you know.
It's the first time I've actually spoken about it on camera, so I'm very honoured to be with someone I feel very comfortable with.
Thank you.
The universe arranged this meeting today, and
I believe in the universe.
I believe in taking advantage of that situation. So if this sharing inspires other people and they want to reach out to me or to you, then I'm here for them. So
thank you very much. I really appreciate your experience, your conversation. And is there anywhere people can find you?
I'm on Instagram at Trianno, so that's TRIANNO. And my journey will be very beautiful, and the more people I can take with me, then the better for all those people who come. So reach out, and I'm here.
Oh, I love this type of interviews, and that's what life is about: sharing, learning, and approaching people like this guy. See you the next one. I'm Bernhard Seifert.
Ciao.
Amazing. We got it. Like almost like a selfie. Yeah. Thank you.